Thank you very much. Thank you, Noon, for your previous talk about NICs. I think there's some part that I will actually be discussing similar here that I'll be like, maybe NICs is the reason to go. And yeah, it was so lovely to chat to some people over there, out there while they're getting drinks. Yeah, I'm Daniela. I'm here to talk to you about how integration is the hardest part of any innovation project, but specifically for robotics. With AI and machine learning, I know it's a big topic, but it has improved a lot, and maybe robots are going to become a part of our daily life. So this is how we can turn it from theory potentially into reality. So to follow along with the presentation, if you cannot see it from further away, you can get the QR code, because there are some pictures that I might have made a bit small, but yeah, I'm just going to wait till people finish taking. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Is everyone done? Okay. Yeah, a little bit about me. As a fun fact, I've lived in 4 countries, or 5, if I speak to someone in Scotland. I've been from Russia, I've been to London, Poland, and Spain, and I recently moved here. I've been here for 6 years now. I graduated from electronics and electrical engineering with a big passion for robotics and a big hatred for quantum engineering. In my free time, I worked on Formula Student Car, which was a very exciting project, and we won the first year. I worked as part of on the CAN bus of the car. I do not drive, so I actually do not know much about the car, but it was very fun to work on it. And I also worked in BrailleBot. Accessibility is a thing close and dear to my heart, and I do really want to advocate for it. And one of the things we did, we presented it to a competition in UK, in London, and it was meant to be a gadget the size of a finger that would take text and translate it into Braille. That was a very exciting student project that I've done, and now I have upgraded to working with Spot and presenting it to places. I haven't brought him with me. He is sleeping, relaxing, and recharging back in the office. I would like to give a bit of a background as to what was the inspiration and why did we even start this project. I work at a company that does diagnostics for power stations. In particular, we study partial discharge. So here's on a handy picture. Partial discharge happens when there's a little tear, and after that there's an electronic signal, an electric signal that goes down to Earth, and that is, it's 30 kilovolts plus, which is obviously very dangerous for people to go to, but importantly, it does create a fire. It can spark a fire, and especially with Glasgow Central, what has recently happened, it's pretty bad when that continues. And because of the demand at power stations, we all need energy 24/7. So it might be the area could be down to potentially the country, as what's happened in the airport in London, Heathrow, when there was a substation fire, and there were no flights for that day. So that creates, whenever there's a partial discharge, that creates a hazard zone which people cannot go to. So that means that we need to power off a substation to walk in order to test or check it. So if humans cannot go, then who can we send to check in? Introducing Spot the Robot Dog from Boston Dynamics. I think it's been a pop culture reference for quite a while now, since 2018. And now recently it was at the Olympics in Milan. It's got plenty of capabilities, and honestly, when I was presenting the robot, I think someone came up to me and tried to kick it to see if he's going to right himself. Yes, he can do that, but I do not want to be mean to him. And in fact, he's well treated, well fed, well charged at home. He's got amazing cameras all around him, which helps him with obstacle detection, so that he can go around, he can walk up the stairs. He also can be controlled with a tablet in order to walk around. But we're going to get more into the details about him. He's got a couple accessories. One of them is the tablet, which I've talked a bit about before. which can be used to control and check where he's going, set up the camera, turn it in different ways. So the tablet is actually crucial. It does look like a gaming laptop because it like a gaming, like an Xbox controller, which is pretty accurate. It is. That's what it is. There's the core input output. This is the core input output. That's got the LiDAR in it. That's the bright shiny thing inside. That's a laser thing for detecting obstacles and actually uses artificial intelligence to think about what are the obstacles around it, to create walls, how thick they might be, depending on the signal. And it also has a powerful processor inside of it, which we're also going to be using in other parts of our project. We fitted on the Radiant Cardinal. I'm not sure how many people have heard about the Radiant, but it is something that's being used a lot more in the robotics industry. It's for increasing network and meshing it. Spot himself doesn't have much of a strength of signal, so started using Radiant Cardinal. And then lastly, it's got the PTZ, an infrared camera. It's a 360-degree camera. The Spot, as we saw in the picture, in the previous picture, has got quite low, has got quite low cameras, but on substations, they are quite high, like bushings. Oh,
sorry, you clicked somewhere.
Did I?
Yeah, it's fine.
Never mind.
It's fine.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to break anything. So we wanted to fit on a PTZ camera in the very top in order to take higher pictures. And actually, what is a fun thing is if you click on an object, no matter where the Spot is or where have you position him, he'll be able to find the object. If he's had to go around somewhere, if you've clicked it and you said, I would like to go and for you to take that picture of that object, he'll be able to find it, which is pretty awesome. I'm still doing things, aren't I? Wow, fantastic. Yeah. There we are. I'm going to hold it here. Okay, so why do we want Spot and why do we want him now? Hazard zones, as I've talked before, we want to keep humans safe. I think that's a pretty good thing to do, is keeping people safe. So instead, we're going to be dispatching Spot. That means that we won't have to power off a substation in order to check where an issue might be on the substation. From experience working on my job, especially with field service engineers, it takes weeks to months to potentially come and see a power station and what the issue might be, just because you need to get a permit to go inside, you need security clearances, you need health checks to make sure that there are no wires that they can trip over. But that means that the partial discharge, the tear, can actually expand further in that time and become worse. So that obviously is going to cost us quite a bit, delaying that. But the thing we have to think about, Spot is wonderful and fantastic, but does the cost justify the means, is something I would also I'll be discussing here. So everything does seem perfect. Spot is fantastic. He's lovely. That meat sparkles. That's one of, I think, a creepier thing, but to be honest, it does sparkle and is very cute. He is great and he is ready, but what is an issue? Spot does not have GPS, but before I even talk about that, Spot is actually incredibly lazy. If we all think that robots are going to come tomorrow and destroy everything and take over our worlds, no, they're lazy. I remember having to test him once and be like, oh, can you go walk around? You start at point A and then finish at point A. So just do a little circle. And Spot was fantastic. Yes, of course. He got up. He realized that if he needs to start at point A and finish at point A, he can just stay at the same place. So he sat back down. I was like, well, that's not what I wanted you to do, but thanks. So Spot does not have GPS. If we're wanting to work at a substation, we need to figure out where the default is. We need to have GPS to figure it out for our clients. Then changing networks, so from it becoming a client to an access point where I can use it on a tablet or control it through our cloud server. I'm clicking something again. Then that means I need to manually click it 6 times. We don't want people on the substation while it's running for safety reasons, so obviously something has to change there. It is a new product, so there are constant updates from Boston Dynamics twice in a month that are substantial, which is of course great because it it's a developing product, but that also means the code I have written or something else in order to bypass an issue is for naught. It is fully done in Python, and everything that we do, and in fact the industry standard, is C. So I need to change all of that. Nobody's posting what they're using Spot for, or how they're even implementing him. So there's nothing for me to be like, oh, what are they doing? There's no way for me to find it out. And yeah, Spot is very lazy. Problem that I'm going to discuss first is the networking. As I've talked about, client and access point, and also Spot himself, his Wi-Fi signal is up to 3 meters, and substations can be up to 1 kilometer large. So if we're following him around and telling him to go somewhere, hazard zones can be more than 3 meters, so we don't want to lose signal while he's still inside. So we've had to fit on a Ragent Cardinal. We searched for a very long time what would be the perfect solution, and this is the one that has come up. It's also a new thing. So Ragent is a recent startup, and yes, it is being more used in the industry now, but there are also lots of delays and lots of working with the developers of like, hey, can we actually use that here or there? We need to figure out its topology for how to connect to it. There's going to be several things to connect to, like several routers or repeaters that we need to set up. And the biggest issue is at substations, there's no constant IP. It's not a stationary IP at all, in order to prevent hacks. But Ragent is expected to only work with one IP. So how to fix that? We are in constant conversation with developers. Yes, it's water resistant. So, ooh, wow, I've done something. I should not be allowed to have electronics. You know, the amount of times I've actually broken things at work is pretty impressive with computers.
Maybe try like to turn it into multimedia mode and just like use touchpad to get back to the.
You know, that sounds fair. Oh.
And just switch like on the right side, like there is a switch on the pointer.
On the pointer.
On the right side, like of it. Just like.
Yay! No more pointy thing. Thank you. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So continuing with the network, what is the best topology? Something we had to all figure it out. I don't have any experience with networks, so I'm going to be very open with you. That is something I've done very, very quickly and briefly at university. It was one course, one semester, and nothing else. So starting from zero and where I cannot fall back on anyone else in my team has meant that I'm constantly looking up, constantly researching what could be a better way. And because Ragent is a new product, even though we bought it last year, there have already been 5 new developments, so we need new hardware to work on. So constantly having to keep up with the updates of everything is a very exciting, but also a problem when you thought you finally finished it, but oh no, it turns out there's version 5.0 that you need to upgrade to. Problem number 2 is programming, and this is where I think that's going to come in Noon's thing. So it's all done in Python, and we only work in C. The boards that we're going to be fitting on top of it that will have our diagnostic equipment is all done in C or C++. And also Spot, you need bash commands. So we need Linux, but the whole office works on Windows. And well, Linux in our company is kind of like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it, and it seems like my company is on the side of hating it. It took me 6 months to convince them that actually maybe using Marmite for the robot is useful. So finally they've allowed me to use Linux, and I've got it working. But it was a long conversation where the company was like, but why can't you just translate all the Python into C? Surely, like that would be easier, like the library, just so that we can continue using Windows. Yeah, it was a long time describing to them that no, that's not the case, and it's going to take a longer time. We need to continue integrating it with our own boards, which are in C, so can talk to Python, then also have bash, so it'll be 3 ways. So maybe Nix is something I'm going to look into to see if we can do that. So I'm really glad I'm here. And Spot's code is, yeah, it is constantly in development. As I've touched on before, there are updates happening all the time on Spot, several times a week, and sometimes as well. So constant conversations with Boston Dynamics. Hey, can we actually do that? Can we have access to this? Oh, could you actually send us that? Because the SDK doesn't cover everything, and some examples are just not applicable to us at all. But finally, integration. Yes, I am the first in the company to work on such a project. It's very exciting, but that means that I am kind of the project lead, and depending on how much I research, depending on how much I do, is what is going to happen. In my conversations with just casual conversations, I found out that BP use the Boston Dynamics dog as well. That's on that far left picture. But Boston Dynamics heavily advertises that they can work on stairs. That Spot is very good at walking upstairs. And the truth is, in fact, he doesn't. As soon as we got the Boston Dynamics robot, they started telling us to make sure you don't make him walk on stairs. Please, can you not make him walk on stairs? But like, you kept advertising that he can walk on stairs. So I was told that he's constantly being rescued upstairs because he falls off when he panics. He does panic as soon as he comes closer to a person. He does stop and he's like, please get away from me, please walk away. So walking him around a busy area, he just freaked out, and I had to sit him back down, like, you can relax now. This is National Grid in America. They also are using this project, but in order to get take pictures of heat maps and see where there might be hotspots or so it's not as far as the project that I'm working on right now, where we're actually going to fit on extra devices on top. Or boards that we've developed ourselves. So that is also exciting. And it does require a unique approach. I have done robotics before, and I've worked in different things, but it's very different from all of my experiences, and that's what makes it so exciting. And Spot is very prone to falling down, actually, which is very terrifying for a $500,000 robot. So some factors in integration that we don't discuss enough is actually their risk versus experiment. It's very, very risky sometimes to try something new, but because it is a very expensive robot, so we're scared of testing him, we're scared of bringing him somewhere else, but without testing or without being able to take that risk and see if that board will be of any use, I mean, I bought so much components and equipment that ended up being super expensive and completely useless to us, but we wouldn't have known if I hadn't bought that or if I hadn't tested that. Especially in the energy sector, which is where I'm working on, because we need energy all the time, it is so scary to try something new, and it's very much the case of like, if it's not broke, why change it? But that is not the case, and that's what keeping, I think, the energy industry behind other industries. There's so little innovation there because we need energy, we need it now. And the other thing is, we as developers, we have studied everything. We've worked from the beginning on this code. We know exactly how it works. But the thing is, if we're making something for clients, they have absolutely no clue what you mean. And, oh, what is this? And you come in with like, oh yeah, if we use this program or if you use this program, then clients get less excited about what you're doing because they don't know what you're talking about. But we as developers, we all know. We can mention Linux, we can mention some other code, we can say, oh yeah, the LiDAR or some other boards. But because the clients don't understand what we're doing, they're not happy to invest for us because they just can't relate at all as to why is this even useful. So some improvements as well is that I think, yes, knowledge is power. It's very much well known. I think there should be more detailed tools related to integration. With the rise of AI, I am sure someone is in the middle of developing a tool to help out with that. I also think that especially calibration will drive innovation. I think there needs to be better communication. If I knew about how BP is using it and the issues that they're having with stairs, it was more yeah, sure, the substation doesn't need any stairs and he won't be walking around in any stairs. But it would still be important if we kind of were more open with each other, talking about things. What worked, what didn't. If we don't, I think we'll just constantly be afraid to talk to each other. I think failure should be shared openly. In fact, we should celebrate failure. And I would like to say thank you very much for listening to this. I would like to say a big thank to adhoc for. I'd like to say a big thank you to adhoc for having us here. So there's another speaker forum here, and LinkedIn and Instagram for you to join. And I'm really happy to take any questions if you have any. Yes.
So can you just, before you go, can you use mic? Can you just pass the mic?
Perfect. So I remember the research side, like people don't use the one, this is by MIT, right? Or the
Boston Dynamics, yes, I think it's from MIT, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Elon Musk wants to buy it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Because they claim that the firmware is not open source, so if you want to put your own driver inside it, they find it very difficult because it's fully closed source, right? So it's hard
Yes.
to put your own hardware through.
Yes.
So does that actually hinder, and especially you pay a lot of money buying their IP every single month, or
Yes.
I know the fees are brutally expensive.
Well, absolutely. No, you know that funny choreography thing that it can do?
Yeah.
That's like £5,000 a year in order for it to do that.
Yes.
And yeah, sure, it can do backflips.
Yeah.
But why do we need him at a substation? Yes.
Exactly.
I completely agree with you. It is so expensive because it is closed source. So I would love for things to be more open source, in fact.
Because I was wondering, because I remember like there's several projects which do the same thing from like different companies, but they don't have the same software support or SDK support as what I keep Spock does, or
I think so, yes. I think they changed the name recently.
okay,
But no, it's Orbit now. Instead of Spock, it's Orbit now.
okay,
That's
right.
the one.
So have you guys considered using like prototyping more with those? And
We are. The thing is that we talk about it all the time, but because this support is more readily available for us right now, they are not thinking of switching to anything. We have gotten so many questions of like, why are you even using Spot? Because he's not that great. And yeah, okay, it's true. The amount of conversations I've had of, we thought of using Spot, but then he turned out to be completely useless for us. We cannot change Robot for this project. We have to keep with Spot because it is something the client has asked us to do.
Right.
Please make this work. But so that means whenever we're using something open source, that are conversations that we need to have with our client constantly.
I see.
Yeah, so I would love to switch. I would love to switch, but there are some people in my company that don't even want Linux, you know?
Fair enough.
So those are hard conversations to have and hard to convince them. But yeah, thank you so much for the question.
No worries.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll take one.
Great talk. So you mentioned that Spot doesn't really do stairs and that
No.
substations don't really have stairs.
Yes.
So why not just have a tracked or wheeled vehicle instead of something so complicated?
That's fantastic. So the amount I've got that question so many times of like, why not use that? That's so much better. And actually, someone else is using that tractor wheel one with Ragent. It's for tunneling. For checking tunnels and partial discharge on the bottom of cables or on tunnels. But again, our client has told us, please use Spot because he is cool. And I did get to go to Parliament. So the client took me to Parliament to talk about Spot because they just thought, he looks amazing. And the amount of people that were coming up nonstop, I couldn't sit down, I couldn't drink water because people were coming up, taking pictures like, can you make him pose like that? Can you make him pose like that? Can I try and kick it? So I think the thing is, Spot is incredible, and because it is a pop culture reference, we're not really thinking about any other robots that we could use. In fact, maybe potentially we could develop our own one with our team and improve it and maybe make it more applicable to site. Luckily enough, there is gravel all around site or like those stones, so him walking around is fine. I'm more confused why BP are using him, but I think for us he's applicable enough that we're keeping him for now. And he's very well behaved, better behaved than our office dog, so we're keeping him.
You can make it out of Lego.
Yeah.
Technics, that would work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Out of Lego, I think would even be, I don't know if it would even be more expensive than what he is now, given the price of Lego. But, you know, would be amazing. Yeah.
Well insulated as well, I guess.
Huh?
Well insulated with Lego.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, it would be. Yeah.
Actually, that's a question. Is there a vulnerability with the potential?
Sorry, can you repeat just over here?
Sorry. Is there a danger, how much danger is there of a high current accident frying circuits?
So, happy to report that we've tested him recently on site, and he was completely fine and very happy in a hazard zone. He is luckily electrically shielded because I think Boston Dynamics realized that this is something they're going to use him for. So he is electrically shielded and definitely far safer than any human going there. But yeah, that's a great question. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is a substation not an electrically noisy environment?
Yes, very noisy, yes. So we're also keeping with that, but our diagnostic equipment there, we use vans to park in front of them, and we have equipment that's can attribute to noise or like can calibrate itself so that it would change. We will be calibrating it so that it can behave better, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Great talk. I just wanted to kind of touch briefly. You briefly mentioned like vulnerability. How often does like security kind of concerns come in during like the project? Like, you know, like backdoors and like these robotics and stuff. Has that become like more of a question, or like how would you kind of, you know, prevent unauthorized access, or say like a state-sponsored actor tries to get into like one of these machines? Kind of curious to hear that.
Yeah, that is something that we're in conversation of right now, because we've had a bit of a we had an issue a couple of years back with cybersecurity, and now obviously my company has been very, very strict about it. So especially with our client being very big, and we need to be considering that. That is not something that we have yet found a solution for. That is definitely a concern that we have about security for it, or vulnerability. Especially with how sometimes people try and break into substations, power stations, potentially trying to take him because it is an expensive robot. That is a very big fear as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like of course, like especially like I think in the past like, few months there's been more of like critical infrastructure been hit like abroad in Europe and stuff. So it's kind of more like once you detect like say like unauthorized access, it's more like would there be like a kill switch or something to basically like, okay, he's been infiltrated, kill it because it's given, you know, in his politest terms ever, you know, have the kill switch.
This poor dog. So yes, there is one. Especially my friends are really. I have a lot of friends who are scared of robots, and especially like this robot dog. Especially when he didn't have his head at some point. So when it was just like this, it looked like something from Lord of the Rings. So or from Stranger Things. So he looked terrifying. After having the head, he looks less scary. And they constantly ask me like, oh, is there a kill switch? So if you were to be in danger, even though he panics a lot whenever there's an obstacle in front of you, there is one. So I think that is what we're going to have to implement, is if there is any version of a hack, we'll kill it and we'll delete the information that's on it.
No, nice one. That was interesting. Thank you.
We have tested it. I'm so happy to report that network was tested and it's completely working fine. He can walk 300 meters away from us and is still working.
Not panic?
Yeah, not panic, no. So he doesn't have attachment issues, or what is it? Yeah, like a dog. He doesn't miss you too much. So we have been testing it, and actually we did tests for the very first time. It looked super primitive. We basically stuck a laptop on together with a couple antennas to test it. That was our first pass through, and it worked, so we're very, very happy about it. Yeah. So it is feasible. It's feasible. So maybe in a couple of years you'll see him walking around and actually doing things. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any questions? Actually, I have one. Like you mentioned that you either ordered or like asked for extra parts for robot. Like, are they expensive? Like, I mean, how the procedure like looks like when you ask to order something that like costs a lot of money? Do you need to approve it, or like you approve it by yourself, or how is it going?
No, I cannot approve such expensive purchases yet. My manager is the one. I have to have a conversation with him about like, oh, I think this is very much going to be needed for us. Like, for example, reagent, and reagent is quite an expensive one. So we had conversations saying, can we please have that one? And so it was a lot of back and forth, especially with how my manager is really busy. So it's me trying to catch him and be like, okay, quick second, can you sign here so that I can use this? And conversations and emails. And yes, purchases are pretty difficult, and it's something we actually have to go to the owners of the company if it's a really, really expensive purchase. I've had to have conversations with them as well, but they're very supportive and they're also very excited about the project. So a lot of the times when I say I need this, they're more agreeable, except for Linux, but they're more agreeable for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Since no question. Oh.
One last question.
Okay.
Great talk, thank you. I just wanted to ask, is there like an end goal of what you think it can do, or is this just a tool and you're going to continuously extend it and it will do new things over time as there are emergent capabilities?
I think, yeah, because it is developing, there could be even more things that we can add on to it. I think recently they've had a security. So when I found out that Trump is using Spot the Robot Dog in the White House, I laughed at it because I was like, oh, but it's so dumb. It can't even do things. Like if it finds an intruder, how is that even going to work? But that was one of the recent patches that they've had, is they updated that they have an intruder alert now. So if there's someone unfamiliar, they will be sending like back to orbit. There'll be like, be alarms setting off klaxons. So that could be something new that we would be implementing for security. I think there's many different ways to use Spot currently, and the final look is that it would be able to be sitting at a substation and do the rounds like every couple hours and take signals and see where the issue might be, and then send it back to us so that we don't have to manually at all, for humans don't have to interact with the site at all until we find out exactly where the fault is and if it's something we can fix. So that's our project's goal, is to do that, to have pictures, to have live data being sent to us and seeing where the Spot is walking around. But there's definitely more things that we can add. Maybe a robot arm, maybe we need that in order to potentially like open doors. That's something that was also a recent patch, is that it can now open doors for itself. So if we ever need that on maybe a closed substation or an open one, then it can do that. So I think it's an evolving project. Right now we have done step one just to see if it actually could work, if it's even something we need to spend time on, and now we're just improving him further. So yeah, it's an exciting project for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. It was a great talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much.